So Dave Chappelle just recently came out with his new comedy special called The Unstoppable, and it came out I think back in on December 19th. It came out on Netflix, and recently I just watched it on Christmas, and that's what Dave Chappelle does. I feel like he just pops up and just does these comedy specials just like whenever he wants to. And he's probably like, listen, I'm seasoning my career. I can do whatever I want. And overall, I enjoyed it. I always enjoy when Dave Chappelle has a special because he's always gonna talk about some real stuff. Like he's not gonna be like lowbrow. He's not gonna talk about like stuff that's kind of irrelevant. He's gonna actually, talk about things that's happening in the world. And I've always loved Dave Chappelle's humor ever since the Chappelle show. Like I can remember like watching it with my uncle and him just making these crazy jokes. But in this special, I will say I didn't like it as much as the specials he's done before. I think I liked his last special a little bit more than this one. I will say this one, he talked about, things going on in the world, but it was a lot of him circling back and talking about, I think, things that were kind of on his mind, kind of that he was dealing with, because he went to a story about this one comedian he met on the street and how it connected back to something else and something else. And it was certain parts, I won't lie, certain parts I was zoning out. But overall, the special was spectacular. I definitely would watch it again. So another thing about Dave Chappelle too is I really like it. He's very, very spiritual. He's very tapped in with his like spiritual side and things that, he feels. He even said in one part of the special, he said, don't let people think that you're crazy. Everyone has been feeling it. Everyone has been feeling it. And that feeling it, he said it without saying too much. He basically is saying that something is definitely going on spiritually in where we kind of are at right now. And I'm really glad that he's said that, because a lot of people will feel these things, but then they won't openly outward say like, oh, okay, yeah, it's definitely something going on spiritually. And I really respect about Dave Chappelle. Like, he's going to tell it like it is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what people have to think about him. And I think that's another thing that I think a lot of people respect about comedians is that they say real stuff, but they're able to get away with it in this package of like, oh, it's humor, but it's like they're really showing you stuff that they're seeing. So he said something else about, another thing about Dave Chappelle too. He is definitely going to go into like a conspiracy. He's definitely going to go down he's going to put two and two together. He's going to see different things that, and one part that was really interesting was when he was talking about Dr. Sabi, Nipsey Hussle. So apparently Nipsey Hussle was supposed to be putting out this like Dr. Sabi documentary on, Dr. Sabi curing AIDS but like in a holistic way. And long story short, they killed Nipsey because they didn't want that Dr. Sabi AIDS holistic journey to come out, essentially something like that. So another interesting connection he made was the whole Diddy situation. I'm telling you, this Diddy situation has people divided. When the whole Diddy trials happened, I was invested. I watched one of my favorite commentators. She has a big beef with Diddy. She sees Diddy for who he is. I didn't watch the 50 Cent I'm probably not going to watch the 50 Cent documentary because, 50 Cent is very, 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 very biased. And, he's just going to put the stuff in there that's like, of course, Diddy's a despicable human being, but 50 Cent, he's going to add, extra sauce. And I don't know. I just don't want to watch it. Notice that whenever you bring up Diddy, especially with black people, that it's this big, like, oh, they're always going to take down a black man and blah, blah, blah. Which, okay, I can understand that, right? I can understand, like, okay, they getting a black man, they don't want to see the black man win and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, but you can't deny what this black man has done to his own community. That's not what I'm not understanding. Like, I'm like, two things can be true at the same time, right? They can be, coming for black men at a disproportional rate, and maybe black men in power, they don't want to see black men in power. But then he also can be a corrupt human being that has probably messed over a bunch of people. So whenever we had this conversation had been brought up, because I think a lot of the older generation, I just don't think they know how deep Diddy's degeneracy goes, right? Like I said, I watched another YouTuber, and she put together, I think, this like 10-hour long documentary. I'm still getting through the documentary, but I think I'm like 3 parts within the documentary, and holy shit, he is a demon individual. He is not right in his head. And whenever you get into this conversation with Diddy, it kind of makes me think of, back to that one Boondocks episode, and they talked about the whole R. Kelly thing, right? Like, oh, people who could saw him for who R. Kelly was, right? Saw him for a nasty pedo who peed on some girl, right? But everybody loved his music. It was so enthralled and like, oh, they just want to, take down a black man. It's like, it's not about that. Like, okay, yes, this one part is great, but are we going to disregard this whole other part too? Like, it's just gross. It's gross. Like with Dave Chappelle, I really appreciate what he did in his special. One side, especially the older generation, I'm talking about like the 50s and 60s, saying, oh, they're always coming after a black man. This black man did all this great stuff, and they're always taking down black men. And you have people really caping hard, even saying to the fact like, oh, well, he was so rich, they wanted it anyway. When I think that, a lot of people just want to stay blinded to the fact that he has, all these different things, but only focus on the fact that, like, okay, he makes great music. He makes amazing music. And look at everything he was such a part of my upbringing. So polarizing. But then you have, a different segment of people just saying like, he was, I can't support him. I'll still listen to the music, but I'm not going to support him, whatever. And again, that's what I really appreciate what Dave Chappelle did in this special, because he didn't really demonize Diddy like that, but he didn't he wasn't caping for him, which is like, okay, he's just like, okay, it happened, but Diddy did do well for me. Like Dave Chappelle was like, when Dave Chappelle, he was talking about when he got tackled, and I didn't know this, he got tackled on stage, and Diddy was the first one to come to Dave Chappelle's defense because the security guards, they didn't act fast enough. Like, yeah, I can see Diddy for this one part, but I can't really ignore all this other stuff he did. So he was like, damn, he did help, help my life, but it's like, damn, Diddy, you just like, what's all this going on? When Dave Chappelle was talking about Saudi Arabia, we have a lot of, and I don't want to get too much into this because I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about it. Like, I hear different things, but I don't know how far down that rabbit hole goes about the whole Israel and stuff like that. But he talked about performing in Saudi Arabia. You know, everybody would think like, oh, you know, oh my God, how could you perform over there and the blah 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 and all this other stuff. He was like, I felt more comfortable performing over in Saudi Arabia than I do in America right now, because even when even when he was talking about Charlie Kirk, he was like, oh shit, you know, I'm not about to say nothing about Charlie Kirk because he gonna blow me. He was like, oh no, I'm scared to say anything about Charlie Kirk because they might shoot me. Oh, he was like, God damn, you can say anything about Charlie Kirk, you might lose your life. Or you might lose your livelihood, your career, which is facts. Because I think he went into talking about Jimmy Kimmel and how they kicked him off the air for, you know, speaking on, it was something he said, I think it was about Trump or the Charlie Kirk situation or something like that. But he was absolutely right. And, you know, he talked about, you know, just feeling comfortable going over to like different countries, and he kind of felt more welcomed, and he wouldn't mind. He said I wouldn't mind going over there and performing for Saudi Arabia. Like, he was like, I felt more comfortable performing over there than I do here. Saying a lot about where we are now in our society, and you can always count on Dave Chappelle to give a good commentary, you know, on the state of the world. Overall, it was good. Like, I learned some stuff. I laughed. But yes, that's really it. That's all I have to say. I thoroughly enjoyed his comedy special. And yeah, tell me down below. Did you guys watch it? Did you guys like it? Yeah, let me know what you think down below. And thank you for watching. Bye.